Welcome back to my channel, Elo for Life, and today we're going to cook some keto broccoli and cheddar soup. This is the first time of me cooking it, so I saw another YouTuber cooking it, and I decided to cook it too. So we're going to go ahead and preheat that oven to 400 degrees. You're probably wondering why we're preheating the oven, but we're going to preheat that oven because some people will saute or cook their broccoli crowns on the stove. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually put mine in the oven for good reason. It's going to save me some time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I didn't use a whole bag of broccoli, but I did use like maybe a half a bag of broccoli. Those big bags of broccoli you can find at your local grocery store. So next, what I'm going to do here is take some of that ghee butter. Y'all, this is ghee butter. It's awesome. It's a shelf-like butter that you do not have to put in the refrigerator. It's a great oil to use on keto. It has a great what is it? Omega acids, or your omega fats. That's what it is. Your omega fats. And it has different vitamins and so on and so forth in it, but it's also good for your digestive system. So I'm just going to take about 5 scoops of that and put that on my broccoli. Now, I did get that from another channel, so I decided to use it too. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and cook that broccoli for about 5 minutes in the oven. So I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. So I'm going to cook that in the oven for about 5 minutes. The reason being is because I want that ghee butter in the broccoli to kind of like melt down, because the broccoli that I had was actually frozen broccoli. So I just want to get the butter melted in, and I want to stir that in really well in that ghee butter that I was telling you about earlier. And I wanted to get all that, I wanted to get that marinated on there all together. So then what I'm going to do next is this. As you can see, I'm putting on some of my garlic powder. And yes, I love me some garlic powder, y'all. I love garlic. And then I'm going to use my onion powder. Now, you don't have to use the seasons that I'm using. You can use whatever seasons that you prefer to use on your broccoli. So as I get that, I'm going to take some of this Weber's chicken. Yes, I love this season, y'all. And it's going to give the broccoli a little kick to it. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that flavor and that taste on my broccoli. So then next, I'm going to put that back in the oven. So while that's back in the oven and cooking for about 15-20 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and warm up my oven. Not my oven. I'm going to warm up my pot. Sorry, on medium heat. Now, I'm not using ghee butter for this. I'm actually using olive oil. And I'm going to go ahead and let that heat for about a couple of minutes, because I want that to get to a really good simmer. Not a simmer, but not a boil, but I just want it to get hot. And then I'm going to use my little spatula, this little spatula I have, and just spread it around. And what I have already done, and what you did not see, was I took like a half of an onion, or maybe a whole of a small onion, and I went ahead and cut that up and diced it up in little bits. It's not little bits, but I just cut it all up, because I want onions in here, and I'm going to saute those onions in my olive oil. And I love onions. I love onions. It's like I just want to eat onions with everything. Now, you don't have to do onions if you don't want to, but I'm going to do onions. So, next, once that gets all sauteed together, I am going to take some, what do you want to call them? I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of almond flour. Now, you can get almond flour at your grocery store too. And I'm going to use 2 big tablespoons of that. And that's just simply so that it can give it a little thickening. But right now, and you'll see why in a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and get that smashed around in my onions, saute onions. And then next, I'm going to take half of this chicken stock. Now, you can use chicken stock, or you can also use chicken broth. I think I have both in my cabinet, so it's just whatever you have, or whatever you prefer to use. But I'm going to put that in there just so that I didn't want that almond flour to burn or to brown up. So, and I want to use that almond flour to thicken up the broth. Now, in my case, in this situation, I should have added a little bit more almond flour, but I didn't. So if I was you, I would probably add like another tablespoon of almond flour, and you will see that later on my video why is that. So I'm going to take some of that kicking chicken. Like I said before, I love me some kicking chicken, y'all. And I'm going to put that into my broth mixture, as well as some, now this doesn't have salt in it, but it's salt-free, that was salt-free chicken seasoning that you can get. And then I took some more garlic powder, some onion powder, and then I believe I put in some celery seed. You don't see that there. I think it was celery seed. And I may also put in some celery flakes. Yes, that's exactly what I did. And I didn't, yeah, that was celery seed before. This is celery flakes. And that's just to give it a little, taste, spice up the taste to my, to your broth mixture. And I'm putting in a little bit more celery seed. Don't ask me why I did that. I just did it. And then I'm going to put in some of that black pepper. Y'all, this recipe was really, really, really easy to make. Oh, and then I used some no salt sodium. It's not really salt. It's like salt, but it gives it a salt taste, and it brings out the flavor in your food. So I did use a little bit of that. You can use whatever you want. I've seen people use Himalayan salt, whatever, kosher salt. But next, I'm going to go ahead and add my heavy whipping cream. Now, in here, I added the entire container of whipping cream, and that's about 2 cups right there of whipping cream. Now, you may not have to add that much. It's to each his own, but I didn't want to leave a little bit in a carton, and then it's just going to sit there in the refrigerator and go to waste. So I decided to just go ahead and add that whole carton, the little 2 pint or 1 pint, whatever it is, into my mixture. And then you're going to go ahead and cook this on medium heat. And you're going to go ahead and let that get to like a slight simmer. That's what you want. You really want like a slight simmer. You don't want it to be boiling at all whatsoever. You just want a simmer. So I kept stirring, and then you want to stir frequently. So what I did next was that I went ahead off camera and cut up my broccoli, because at this time my broccoli was already done. And it doesn't need to cook that long, but I diced up my broccoli, not by hand, but I have one of those Kitchen Ninja systems. And I used the food processor part of it, or the chopper part of it, and took that and cut up every part of my broccoli. Now, some people use like an immersion blender, and they'll go ahead and throw the broccoli in there whole. But I'm not going to throw my broccoli in there whole. I'm trying to save time. And plus, I didn't even have an immersion blender. So this is the only other thing I could think of cutting my broccoli. Now, you see that my camera's a little sideways. I apologize for that, because my daughter was filming this for me. And I guess neither one of us really paid attention that we were filming it not horizontal but vertical. But that's okay. You guys get the logistics of what I was doing here. So I took all of that broccoli, and as you can see, that was a lot of broccoli. And I put that, chopped it up and put it into my pot. And I'm going to let that cook. And it's going to make the broccoli, as you let it cook some more, it's going to make the broccoli a little more dente. And that's what you want. You don't want hard broccoli. So that's why I didn't cook the broccoli that long in the oven, because I wanted it to come out. I knew it was going to cook it a little bit more in this mixture or soup. Now, to each his own. You may want it to be heartier, so you may want to add a little bit more broccoli than what I did. But that's all I had cooked, so that's what I used. And then next, you can use whatever cheese that you want. In this particular soup, I use some sharp cheese, and some people use mild cheese. And I think some people do use the mild cheese, but I actually use, my 2 cheeses were the sharp cheese, and it was that Mexican cheese. Mexican, like kind of like queso taco cheese that you buy at your local grocery store. So that's what I use, because I like the different flavorings that come with the different cheeses for the Mexican cheese. And as you can see, you pretty much I put it in a little bit by little bit, and then I stir. And then I put some more in there, and then I stir. I put a little bit more in there, and then I stir. So what you pretty much want to do is just use those 2 full bags of cheese for this soup. And like I said, to each his own. It depends on how thick you want it, how soupy you want it. And I just let this cook. I'm not sure how long I let it cook, but you'll know once it thickens up and it gets to the consistency that you want. And as you cool it, it'll also thicken up. And that's just me adding more cheese. And that was it, y'all. I mean, making this keto broccoli and cheddar was so simple and so easy. I think the next time I'm going to do a much heartier soup. So if you like everything that you saw, I want you to comment, rate, and subscribe. And I will see you all in my next video. Until then, this soup is so good.